So every now and then, a research paper drops that nobody really sees coming. And this quiet paper from Tencent and Tsinghua University, well, it might be more than just an update. It could be a complete teardown and rebuild of the very foundations of AI as we know it.
And that quote right there, that's a real, unfiltered reaction from a researcher online. And honestly, it just perfectly captures the shockwave this paper sent out. We're not talking about a small improvement here. This feels like a fundamental shift in how we even think about machine intelligence.
And really, it all boils down to this one crazy question. You see, for its entire history, AI has been building meaning one tiny piece at a time. So what happens when it finally learns to grasp whole ideas all at once?
Okay, so to really get why this is such a bombshell, we've got to talk about the invisible prison that, believe it or not, every single AI model you've ever used lives inside.
Every large language model out there, I'm talking GPT, Llama, you name it, they all operate on what's called the next token paradigm. And the source material uses this fantastic analogy. They're basically bricklayers. They painstakingly place one tiny fragment of a word, a token, after another, just to build a single sentence.
And you can probably guess, this process is a huge bottleneck. It's wildly inefficient. Imagine having this massive river of ideas, right? But the only way you can get it out is by trying to force it all through a tiny little straw, one drop at a time. That, right there, is the state of AI today.
So what's the big shift here? Well, it's moving from the old way, which is discrete, choppy, separated, one distinct piece after another, to a new way that's all about being continuous, something that actually flows.
Or here's another way to picture it. We are literally moving from building with these clunky individual bricks to working with something more like a fluid. Instead of just constructing, the AI can actually start to shape and mold meaning in a much more natural, organic way.
And this last one, I think, really hits it home. It's like going from Morse code, ... Yeah, it works, it gets the message across, but it's totally fragmented, right? This is a leap to a full, flowing melody. We're going from just basic communication to something that feels a lot more like thought itself.
Okay, so that's the prison. The big question is, how do you break out? Well, the answer comes in the form of this brand new architecture called CAL.
CALM. It stands for Continuous Autoregressive Language Models. And here's the genius part. Instead of predicting the next tiny word fragment, the next token, CALM predicts an entire continuous vector of meaning. It's basically a dense little packet that represents a whole bunch of tokens all at once. It's like it stops whispering syllables and starts streaming thoughts.
And how it works is it's so clever. First, it chunks up the text, let's say, into groups of 4 tokens. Then, this thing called an autoencoder squishes that chunk down into a single vector of pure meaning. Now here's the magic. The model predicts the next vector in one single jump. And finally, a decoder just translates that new vector back into regular text. It's so simple, but completely revolutionary.
And the tech behind this is pretty mind-blowing. You've got this autoencoder that's compressing ideas with 99.9% accuracy. I mean, almost no meaning gets lost. Then there's something they call an energy transformer that basically forges these vectors in one super fast step. They even have a new way to measure the model's own confidence, which is huge for getting reliable results. It's a whole new playbook for AI.
So, okay, this isn't just a cool new way for AI to think. It completely changes the economics of AI. We're talking about an efficiency revolution. And the numbers, they are absolutely staggering.
Just look at this chart. We're talking about the same or even better performance on key tasks, but using 30 to 40% less computational power. That's not just a little improvement. That is a massive, massive leap forward.
So how on earth is it doing that? Simple. It's cutting down the number of thinking steps it has to take by a factor of 4. It's like a sprinter who suddenly figures out how to cover 4 times the distance with every single stride. Same finish line, way less effort.
This could be a whole new scaling law for AI. For years, the game has been simple. More data, more compute, bigger models, brute force. CALM adds a totally new dimension to that equation, semantic density. The question isn't just how big is your model anymore. Now it's how much meaning can you pack into every single thought. And when you change the rules of the game like that, you change everything.
And this efficiency is not just some nerdy detail for engineers. It's a strategic earthquake. It has the potential to completely redraw the map of the global AI race, especially between the US and China.
Yeah, this table lays it out perfectly. The US has been all in on brute force scale, just throw more and more GPUs at the problem. But Calm opens up a completely different path for China, algorithmic efficiency. It's a pivot from trying to achieve compute dominance to what one analyst called semantic sovereignty, controlling the very language of AI. And the ripple effects here are enormous. Think about it. This could let countries sidestep US chip blockades because they just need less hardware. It could make powerful AI way cheaper, democratizing it for places like the Global South. It could completely disrupt the GPU market. And yeah, it kicks off a whole new kind of arms race. Not about who has the biggest machine, but who has the smartest design.
But honestly, this goes even deeper than markets and geopolitics. This starts to touch on the very nature of what thought is, and maybe, just maybe, consciousness itself.
For decades, we've been building artificial intelligence, right? Machines that can calculate, predict, and process information.
But a model that doesn't think in little bits and pieces, a model that thinks in continuous streams of meaning, well, that starts to look less like a calculator and more like a system that has some kind of perception. It's a step toward artificial awareness. And that right there gives birth to a whole new discipline. We're moving beyond just programming AI. We're on the verge of what you might call consciousness engineering, actually designing the fundamental architectures of awareness itself.
So, in the end, this is the profound shift Calm represents. It completely reframes the entire conversation. For so long, we've been obsessed with what comes next, the next word, the next token in the sequence. But maybe the future of intelligence was never about the next step at all. Maybe it was always about what flows next.